Hello again, YouTubers. You know who I am, AJ Copeland, and this is Topics to Go. Today, I would like to talk about today's topic is no job, no money, no hope. Yeah, um, it's really tough out here for a lot of young men and young women, but primarily for young black men. The unemployment rate within the African community, I think, is anywhere between 11% to 14% unemployment within the African American communities, and especially among black young men. The unemployment rate is very high. And so you have a lot of unemployed young men out there, that is at age to work, anywhere from 16 all the way up, cannot find a job. And many of you may be asking why. What is the problem? Why is it so difficult for African American men to be employed, to have a job, to work? When you go online and you see all these jobs hiring, McDonald's, all these various restaurants, Crystals, Taco Bell, warehouses, airport, all these companies are hiring, but for some reason, our black young men cannot get a job. Well, the first problem is that a lot of young men have been caught up in the law, in the system, in the legal system. And a lot of them have felonies on their records. And a lot of states within the United States of America have laws that has been implemented that has made it very difficult for African American young men to get a job. It's like control. I talked about being in that box. It's a part of being in that box. And so a lot of young men are not able to get a job today because of felonies on their records. And some of them may be even their first offense, their first felony. Or it may be something small, but it just happened to be a felony. And jobs will not hire with a felon. There are very few. And so when you have so large of a number of young men that have felonies on their records, it just kind of make the jobs just that much fewer. It's not that many jobs out there. So that's the first problem. The second problem, most of the jobs that are available are probably not in the public transportation area. The public transportation doesn't go out in those areas, or the hours that they're asking them to be employed, they're not able to make it because they're on the bus, they're on the train, and they can't get to it. So that's another problem as it relates to trying to get a job. Another problem is that a lot of our young men are addicted, addicted to drugs, weed, preferably, alcohol, crack, pills, cocaine, and maybe even other drugs that I cannot name at this time because I don't know all of them. That's another problem. Then you have an issue where uncertainty. A lot of young men are not knowing where they're going to lay their head the next day. Um, because even though they might be living with their parents or their mother or their father, they could be kicked out at any time, any moment, any day. They've been threatened time and time again. If you don't get this, if you don't do that, you're going to be kicked out. So a lot of them are not really stable when it comes to housing. So that creates a problem in trying to locate and find a job. And then you have situations where it's all about your surroundings and the individual that you involve yourself with can also create problems. So I've named a number of things could be reasons why so many of us are unemployed today. And you got to ask yourself, is there a solution for the problem? Is there a solution for the problem? There's many solutions for the problem. However, it's going to take a combined effort of a people to make a difference. And that's where the problem is. There is no combined efforts. Yes, it's a lot of talk. That's all we get is a whole lot of talk. We get talks from our preachers, we get talks from our politicians, we get talks from, you know, uh, activists. We get all this conversation, all this talk, but nobody's doing anything. You have rallies, where people march. They march for this right and march for that right, but there's nothing happening. It's only temporary. Nothing is consistent to make a difference in individuals' lives. And the reason is because in reality, if the truth is told, if the truth is really told, most people are more concerned about themselves than anybody else. And that's from politicians to ministers to teachers to, and don't get me wrong, there are some, let me refer back to something. There are some individuals that do care, but their resources are limited. They can only do so much and they can only help so many people. But it is very difficult and complicated out here to survive. And we need solutions to make a difference within the community. So when you have someone that is unemployed, no money, and no hope, it goes right back into what I was talking about in my previous videos when I talked about the mental state of mind, mental state of mind, when I talk about what affects you mentally and emotionally and what causes you to act in a certain way. And these are reasons why a lot of individuals feel the way they feel and act the way they act. And what else can our young men do but get on the corner and sell drugs and crack and all that kind of stuff when no one is giving them a break? They won't give them a break from the law system. Now, there have been some moves made in the justice system to allow individuals that have, uh, have low crime, not those high things of breaking the law, but the low things, those things that are not violent, that they have begun to release certain individuals out into the community. But there again, when you have no diploma, no degree, no education, and no knowledge of anything, is still difficult for you to make it in this society today. It's hard. Now, what I'm going to do is just throw out some ideas, hoping that individuals that listen to this video will understand that there is hope, there are alternatives, but you have to be willing to make the necessary sacrifices in order to do it. Now, if you're unemployed and you need a job, there's several things that you can do. Um, you need money instantly. Okay, so I suggest temp services, but I also suggest education, going back to school, Job Corps, um, online classes, whatever you need to do to stay busy. What happens is if you're unemployed and doing nothing, that doesn't help you. It makes you lazy, it makes you depressed, and it makes you not want to do anything at all. So if you find something to do that's positive, such as school, Job Corps, temp agencies, something that you can just kind of get busy, part time. If you can't find a full time job, then take a part time job. Whatever you need to do to begin to feel like you're accomplishing something in your life, you would feel 100% better than just sitting around, looking and 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 nothing is coming your way. And then you get depressed and then you begin to think other kind of thoughts. And next thing you know, you're on a corner selling drugs or doing something illegal that gets you in jail and get a felony on your record. And then you then it's even more difficult for you to make it. Um, in this life, they used to say it takes a village to raise a child, and there again, it's just a whole lot of talk. People say that, so easily and so freely, but we don't have villages anymore. We have ghettos, we have hoods, you know. Um, when I ride through my communities and I go out into the suburbs and, the north area of town, and then I ride into the south and west areas of town, and I look at where the majority of African American lives, and I look at where the money is going versus, you know, um, let me give you a couple of examples of what I've experienced. And I'm always talking about the system, the system, the system, but we have to figure out a way how to get beyond the system and begin to work together. But let me tell you why it's important for us to come together, because there was an incident when, well, I just give you, I went to a football game. Um, my son had a football game, and I went to a football game, and I went up in the north area of town. I'm not going to name the school, but I went to the north area of town, and I've been to football games in the south area, in the west area of town. And when I was at the football game, it just when I looked, you just see all the money.